Hello everybody and welcome to episode 9 of my tutorial series for Songs of Syx. I'm Icon and, well, we're going to make ourselves some drinks today. In the last episode I was setting up the basics of the bathhouse, and I have taken the liberty to fast forward a bit to get the construction a little bit ahead. This thing has taken us quite some time, mainly because our exports are really weak at this point and we're not earning too much money. To help me out here a bit, I have set up another export depot. Thanks for that, somebody who pointed in the comment section that furniture is a real nice export good in the early game as well. I kind of like totally overlooked that, but I gotta say, with the sales price of 4 and the fact that it's virtually cost free because we just have to chop woods. We just have to chop down forests, I wanted to say, and we can't just process that. It's a really good deal. Overall, together with leather, one of the best goods to export early game, because leather has also a sales price of 4. The sales prices, of course, are not set in stone. They are developing over the course of a game. We're here selling also fabric, but only for a measly price of 2. Now, since we're going to get ourselves a nice amount of extra workers, let's get ourselves prepared for what's coming up towards us. So, drink is being made out of grain, and our grain production at this point is at no way enough. So we're going to start and build ourselves a new grain farm. So there has been some really helpful comments in the past, and somebody pointed out to not make your farms wider than 16 grids, because that seems to be the maximum for the irrigation. And the idea that somebody put up was to set up your tiles like that, so you can have a long stretch of irrigation around them, where every tile inside that still gets water. I'm not sure how good this works out. Maybe I'm pulling this off wrong here, but that's what I got the impression there, and I want to try it out. I'm not 100% sure about that, but they're, well, only because I haven't tried that. So basically, this is here a little bit of a proof attempt for this strategy. You guys are spamming real cool comments all day long here, and I'm so grateful for all the things that I haven't known about the game yet. It's always a bit weird to start out a tutorial series and know much more about the game as the content creator than when you started out with the series, but such is life. Well, we've seen that this farm is going to support up to 14 farmers, so we're definitely not going to set up 14 farmers there on that thing, but, well, we're gonna get there. So we're probably going to reset this field here as well. Also, I like this lengthy shape here of these. Let's see. Alright, so the bathhouse has been finished. The bathhouse is a really valuable asset for every city. You will have to put in coal for this thing to make it really comfy, but beyond that, oh my god. 7 employees. Let me check. A furnished room. So there's no exact number here about how many employees this thing needs, but I'm pretty sure it's not going to be 7. Let's see how we're balancing out the workload. Anywho, this thing is totally worth your time. So while the grain's growing for the drink, we're going to need another material to get this ball rolling. We're going to need more pottery. Drinks need pottery as a constant cost, so to say. So we're going to turn off the ore imports here for a moment and restart our clay imports yet again. So there's another thing that I wanted to point out from the episodes in between. There's a lot of helpful comments that I will work through here before we get into the the alcohol production. So another thing that has been pointed out, when you're selecting eateries and canteens, that's something I didn't know myself either. You see, they have this blue border here. This blue border is where they can take their food from. And as you can see here, our eatery here is exactly not getting any food from the warehouse over here, which is really bad. So to make this stop, what I'm going to do here is I'm going to assign one crate of all the food stuff that I produce, and I'm putting a fetch mark on it. This way, those foods will be transported into this chest, preferably, and because I only have one crate there, it's not going to put too much strain on the entirety of the economy. And the same thing goes for this zone here. We're going to create ourselves a crate here with a fetch mark for coal. I'm not sure. I had the impression as if buildings like these that consume coal can themselves be out of that demarked line here, because as you see here, the blue jagged line is outside this here, and we don't see that this thing is not consuming coal. I'm not sure about that, but I'm sure about the fact that your food stocks must be within this radius of this building. Really, really important. So since we've fixed that now, our canteen and eatery is working out just fine. Now we can just wait for a moment, and we're going to see what kind of insane population pull we'll get from just one bathhouse. The service here is not really yet has not really been yet fully realized by the entirety of the city, but believe me, once people know that there is a bathhouse, they'll be here in vast numbers. I'm pretty shocked about the workload, though. I didn't imagine it like that. Well, but workload 80% with 6 employees, so we're probably well off with that. Hi there, slaver. Hi there, slaver. So we're not going to buy or sell any slaves. Let's watch that farm being finished. And here goes the immigration pool. That's what I was waiting for. Yay! We have a new level unlocked because we've hit 100 citizens. Those level ups are directly linked to happiness increases most of the time. I'm going to delete that grain farm. We don't need it anymore. So they're definitely worth it. So we're going to sit up here. Let's say we're going to run this with 8 farmers. Yeah, well, that's okay. This will end up with more grain than we actually can process, I bet. But such is life. Now, let's stop the commands there. Delete job. Here we go. Was just picking some wild grain there to make sure that we are able to kickstart our farm. Now, just setting up some wood chopping orders because we're still very low on workforce. Okay, now, I mean, the most important things are already set up. We got the import depot where we're importing the clay, and we got the pottery where we're producing the necessary jugs for the drink. So we're really only needing to set up the brewery. So the brewery will be residing somewhere nearby the warehouse where we're also storing the grain, because, you know, I find that always pretty useful to have those roads as short as possible. So we're setting up a stone building here, and let's make this the same as this. Let's please. And let's put in some doors. And I'm going to make this thing for 5 workers yet again. Of course, you can adjust that to your own liking. There's always variants that are worth it. So auxiliary kettle. some safety measures, so the price is not too bonkers. So we'll have to invest some metal yet again, and we don't have any metal yet right now. That sucks a bit. So, well, we have a little bit of metal, so we'll have to stop or just like, do we need to stop? Well, the biggest issue for this city is still it's very, very low income in so many ways. But that's just something that I keep saying in this series, and I'm saying it yet again. The early game of Songs of Syx is a rather slow burn. I think the better you get at this game, the faster you get across all these early game hurdles, but you can't turn them off, you know? The humans aren't exactly the easiest race to go for either. I just selected them due to two reasons. I know them quite well, and they have a lot of things that are nice for a tutorial. For example, their love for bread is usually something I wouldn't say it's a beneficial thing, but for the sake of a tutorial of explaining you guys how food preferences and industries work, it's been a great thing. Now, the grain farm up here will deliver us tremendous amounts of food in the next time. We're also going to see a constant production on the bakery from this point on, because we will have more than enough grain. So let's bring up 2 more bakers in here. I'm pretty sure we can afford. I'm also investing more and more into more immigrants there, of course. So we're going to need some ore for us. Otherwise, we can't finish the pottery. So we're going to change this yet again. I mean, I have a lot of pottery right now, so I can procrastinate that a tad bit. What we're also going to do now to amp up our income a tad bit is I'm going to copy another carpenter's shop, and instead of putting it like that, I can also put it like that. So we're using this wall twice, and we're just using those carpenters for extra income. They are just refining wood, and that's a nice thing to sell. I mean, we're also selling cut stone at the same rate, because cut stone is just extremely valuable. But, whoop, wrong button. But furniture is not exactly bad either, and unlike stone, wood is infinite. So we're probably going to stop exporting our cut stone at some point too. I'm not too sure about that yet. But we were certainly able to get the ball rolling there. So let's stop the auto-employed carpenters here. And as we see here, we were able to free up some workers even. Okay, well, sucks to be us, because we're just not getting that money in too quickly, even though I'm exporting out of different directions. We're now employing our 5th weaver, so this workshop is now also on high gear. Well, things are working out, I'd say. This city is getting somewhere. Now let's see how our farm is faring. So this place has not produced anything yet so far. Our income is actually not really that bad. When I was waiting for the bath, it was way worse. So great. So whenever you're being extorted like that, just do yourself a favor and just pay the stuff. If you don't have the money, you just have to pay. So our big problem now is that extortion did cost us more money than we actually had. Luckily, we were able to pay with virtual money. Unluckily, we're now not able to finish the brewery in time. Now that sucks. Well, we're going to set up the tavern nevertheless. Because, you know, it's not exactly rocket science. This whole place here will work just like the stuff that we've had before. We're going to set up the tavern just in advance. It's very, very unfortunate, but at least we were able to just pay that. Because, you know, if people are attacking you, without an equipped army, you don't stand a chance against these guys. Believe me when I say it bluntly like that. Alright, so I don't want to have tables like that. I want the narrow ones. Go. So this will take us quite a while to recover from these expenses. But at the same time, it's better than losing your entire city. The thing is, if you're ever being raided, don't worry too much. First off, your city doesn't burn or anything. Well, it does burn, but it will get repaired and it will get rebuilt. So you don't have to worry about these things too much. What sucks mostly is the fact that you're losing a lot of people, and that's just a very, very heavy loss in itself. Okay, we got this. In this scenario now, I've lost my income for a quite long time in advance, which is also quite painful, but, you know, we'll just have to fast forward here in this regard and just wait until we've paid our dues. Certainly better than being attacked and losing all your people. Although I gotta say, the attacking force there was kind of ridiculous in terms of fighting force. But if you don't have any soldiers yourself, even a ridiculous band of marauders is all it takes to get your city into trouble. Now, with the tavern, it's a very similar thing there. Just like with all the other service buildings. Well, we can't reduce our employees here drastically. Just like all the other service buildings, if you don't have the necessary goods for the service there, i.e. drinks, this building doesn't do anything in particular for us. So we'll just have to wait until we've paid off. This will be taking us quite some time under the current stress, so we'll have to just set up more workshops there and just keep going there. Well, this sometimes, if this sucks too hard for you on your own playthrough, if this happens to you, it's fair and square and just reload at your last autosave, because you're most likely not going to hit that same event another time. So let's just do this like that. I'm well aware of the fact that it would be actually easier to just set up a large carpenter's workshop instead of multiple issues of the same thing there, but well, what can I do? So we're going to emphasize our carpentry production here even harder. And, well, here we go. Pick up those people. And, well, I would have loved to show you the entire system in action, but let's just talk about it in theory. I mean, you can already expect, or you can already assume what's going to happen. We're going to have a nice influx of more and more people when this thing will set off. As you see here, we're also getting more and more people in. This is partially because of the bathhouse, but also because our supply of bread is going steadier and steadier. This also makes a big difference for the people there in terms of happiness. So we might be not able to provide alcohol as of yet, but it's okay. So what I'm definitely going to do is I'm going to wait for those imports, and then we're going to finish that brewery. Sadly, we're not going to be able to finish that on this episode, but there's another thing that I wanted to talk about, and it's here our food consumption. As you see here, we're by now on a consumption that starts to be a little bit less good for us. So somebody pointed out in the comments lately that hunters feel pretty overtuned and overpowered, and the answer is yes. Yes, they are. So we're going to set ourselves up another hunter, but you gotta see here, this hunter here has already pretty much emptied the entire fields there. So we're going to set up a hunter here for a while there, because this is one of the quickest ways of getting yourself some extra food into the colony. Also, on a happy side note, we're also gaining some extra leather, which we can export again. So here we have a severe drop in happiness. This is because the food is, again, an issue, and services are also an issue. I mean, we're here clawing ourselves out of that debt, and like I said, it's most likely been pretty much worth it. So we're using this episode not only for the alcohol production, but also for bumping up our economy. Speaking about bumping up the economy, let's talk about knowledge here for a second. There are lots of technologies that I haven't touched yet in this run, and now is a really good moment to do so. So, first off, there are all these technologies which increase your income of certain goods. The first one is pretty nifty, increases farming all in all by 2.5%. Doesn't sound like much, but it really pays off in the long run. Beyond that, all these other technologies here do what you would expect from them. We're going to increase the library production soon, because we're going to need schools pretty soon-ish. Administration, no, there was another thing I was looking for. Here, warehouse spoilage is also pretty decent. As soon as you have huge stockpiles, this is going more and more important, because stuff in your warehouse actually goes bad. I haven't talked about it yet in detail, but I mean, that's just, there's not more to explain. It's just, like I said, stuff in your warehouses goes bad. Where I wanted to amp up here carpentry by 10%, and bartering by another point here. So this is the technology that we need to gain more money, and that's extremely important. And we're also seeing more and more wrongful deaths. The larger your community grows, the more wrongful deaths you will accumulate, because, you know, people are more eager to kill each other, and we're going to set up some law enforcement also in the next episode, but I guess this episode is a little bit too short for that. So what we're also now seeing is our bakers are just kicking as hard as they can. So they're consuming 320 grain per year now. Our production here is by now almost triple that. So there's now two options what I could do. Either expand my bakery for now, or just wait for that until I have the brewery completed. I'll do the latter, because if I remember correctly, the bakery did need metal to be built, so I don't really have the necessary resource. But also keep an eye on the population's happiness. As soon as the bread is gone, our population's happiness dives extremely as well. So that's really a big issue there. As you see here, the hunter's just producing wares like crazy. If you ever run early game into a food shortage, I personally can't emphasize the usefulness of the hunter enough. I think it's a little bit broken, as has been pointed out, and I really feel like this needs to be tuned down, but I'm also a little bit scared about the time when this will get tuned down, because this will also mean that we've lost one super strong food income in the early game. But honestly, with version 61, the one that this series is being made with, it's a little bit heavy. And speaking about a little bit heavy, we finally are out of the debt. And as you might have noticed, our money making went faster and faster as soon as I had those workshops open. As has been mentioned in the comment section, I'm very grateful. This is a really good stuff to export. And also our extra technology in bartering helped us a lot. We have now double the prices on all the wares, which makes trading a lot more effective. So this way, we're just going to wait a little bit more, and we'll have those things in no time. So, because I still seem to have enough workforce here, we are by now consuming 14 scrolls per year per library, and we're producing more than that. So let's copy ourselves another library. We're going to set it up, oh, whatever, we're going to set it up here as well. So we can produce ourselves a little bit more knowledge. Those technologies to increase productivity are extremely powerful, and therefore we want a few more of them. Also, I want another scroll maker here. There we go. Probably our workforce will be not sufficient any longer in this regard, but, well, such is life. Hey, it looks like we're getting the alcohol production rolling before the end of this episode. I'm happy. These extortionists almost crossed my plans, but at the same time, I'm quite happy when things like these happen in my episodes here, because, you know, these are events that I can't plan, and I'm kind of happy when they happen, because they have a high educational value. So, here we go. The brewery is now producing alcohol. Two things about alcohol. First off, you don't need to build a tavern for alcohol to have an impact on your economy, on your population. The benefit of alcohol is going to be felt immediately here. You have drink rations, targeted drink rations. People eat 1 stack of food per day, 1 stack of drink per day. You can also change those ratios here. You can allow them to eat and drink more per day, but you have to have the necessary resource to back this up. As long as this is on 100%, your people are actually supplied with enough alcohol for them to be happy. That's the thing, and that's going to help your dudes out a lot in terms of staying happy. Drinks are just the same like any other service. Fulfilling this is just making your city more attractive and your citizens happier. And those are extremely valuable and important check marks for every city. So, but there's really not much more behind that. It's just very, very important to note, as you have seen here in this episode quite decently, the tavern doesn't do anything for you as long as there is no alcohol in it. So you can just ignore building a tavern before you have a steady surplus of drinks for your city. Before that, it's just not worth it. It's just not worth your time, basically. That's very, very important to note. And we now have a really nifty production there, and we also have a really decent income. The bartering technology has been key to this development, and we're going to improve on that as well. I'm frankly surprised about the fact that this actually doubled our prices, because the tooltip here is not really depicting it, but maybe the prices have changed over the time, but it doesn't look like they did. Well, let's try that out just directly by unlocking this tech. And yeah, so that's definitely more than 15% and 10%, but I don't care about that. I'm glad I discovered it. Although feel a little bit ashamed about that, because we're doing a tutorial series here. But this game has an insane complexity, and it happens to me very, very often that I do keep discovering new things every time. Okay, my dear friends, that's that. So, to sum up this episode, alcohol is just yet another service like all the others, being being served at the tavern. And even if you have no tavern, people will still benefit from the production. You'll need grain, pottery, and coal for that, so it's a pretty sophisticated product, and I'd highly recommend you to forestall it service-wise until you have finished up all the other easier venues of making your people happy, because the production of enough drink for your city is massive. We'll need to upgrade on many different angles before we're able to get that going so that everybody has a drink whenever he or she wants to. But as you see here, we do have a constant trickle of people, so we can go for something new next episode because we have the workforce for that. So I haven't fully decided yet if I'm going to go in the next episode for some stuff in terms of law. So we could go for guardhouses and the like, and I'm pretty tempted to go for that because we do have a tad bit of a murder spree here. I mean, it's not that much, and as you see here, there were murdered people in the graves, but they are not anymore. So all in all, the crime ratio isn't too high, but also your people feel happier if there's safety in the city. Whatever, I haven't made up my mind yet. I will until the beginning of the next episode. Thanks so much for watching. Drop me your comments down below. Let me know what you want to know about the game. Let me know what you thought about whatever. I'm really eager to hear from you. Thumbs up if you enjoyed, and of course consider subscribing. There's more where that came from on the channel, and I'm updating this channel daily. New videos are coming up there, hundreds of videos to watch. I'd be delighted to have you. See you guys next time, and have a good one. Bye bye.